Today we have our first real opportunity to do an on-road drive with the TRD Pro Tacoma. On the program for this truck, we got to drive it off-road a good bit, but now we get to test it on the mean streets here in Texas, where we are to get our hands on this vehicle. And this is really the conditions under which most people are going to spend most of their time driving it. Now, Tommy and I, we also want to talk a little bit about one of this truck's main competitors, which is a truck that we own in our fleet, the Ranger Raptor.
That's right, Case. So we've put several thousand miles on that Ranger Raptor over the last few months, and we're going to discuss some of the pros of the Ford versus the Toyota and which one we would buy based on our initial driving impressions today. Now let's talk about the Tacoma TRD Pro. Where does this fall into the Tacoma lineup?
Well, like I said, it's really the top dog. It's not far off in the trim structure from the Trail Hunter, but this is about $1,000 more expensive than the Trail Hunter. Depending on what kind of features you're looking for, you might be better off with one versus the other. I'm personally a little partial to the Trail Hunter because I like some of the accessories that are fitted to that truck. But this is the very top end of the Tacoma lineup, and you get a lot of off-road goodies because of that. For one, this truck has more of a wide body, so it's got these pretty aggressive flares, which is good. What do you think of the looks of this truck, Tommy?
Well, what I'm most impressed with is in previous generations of TRD Pro Tacoma, there hasn't been that big of a visual shift between TRD Off-Road, TRD Pro, and TRD Sport. Yes, the Pro has looked a little beefier, but not dramatically so. This is the first generation where this truck has really elevated itself in a design standpoint from the other trim models. Part of that is down to that wide body look, but the inclusion of the rigid lights down here in the lower bumper, the off-road light bar, the hood scoop, make this truck look super different.
I do like the hood scoop. It also says TRD Pro here along the side, but of course there's also a lot of functional elements, not just styling. So looking down here, we've got 265/70 R18 Goodyear Wrangler tires. Got these TRD upper control arms, definitely catches your eye. And then if you kind of look in from the front, you can see that this is a Fox shock. So nice suspension on here. It's going to give this vehicle a really soft, cushy ride. We've got a solid TRD branded skid plate underneath, so some solid protection under there. So all really good stuff that you would expect from a top dog off-road trim truck. And yeah, like you just pointed out, tow hooks on the front. Always good to have.
Case, especially in the white, this truck has a phenomenal look, and it sits so much higher than any Tacoma in the lineup. Now, what they were kind of going for, I think, with the TRD Pro is the Trail Hunter is the long distance overlander, maybe tackle some rocks trim. This is the all-out high-speed desert running version. And even out back, we're going to find some differences between this TRD Pro and other trims, like the dual exhaust.
Yeah, also TRD branded. Also, this ARB branded bumper here. Look, Tommy, red tow hooks. They gotta be red.
Well, they work better when they're red, Case.
And then, if I push on the side of the taillight here, we can pop open the tailgate. We've got, again, a composite bed like we've had in Tacomas for quite a while now. They've also got 2,400 watts of power here. Something worth mentioning, this is a hybrid. So this vehicle has a 2.4 liter four-cylinder, 326 horsepower, pretty decent amount, 465 pound-feet of torque. So it's got a lot of torque. This hybrid system is more about that power than it is about efficiency, because all these trucks are getting a combined rating in the low 20s. So this is not actually that much more efficient than a regular gas-powered Tacoma, but it is quite a bit more powerful and a lot more torque. A standard one of these trucks with just a gas motor is going to get 278 horsepower, so not nearly as good.
Well, Case, let's hop inside here and we'll show off some of the interior features in the TRD Pro, because not only are there a lot of exterior changes, including, I do like this. This is a really thoughtful touch from Toyota.
Slider.
Yeah, this makes it much more capable in my mind, because you're going to be able to more comfortably tackle some larger rocks without having to worry about that rocker.
Now, Tommy and I, we were just in the new Land Cruiser, and we were talking about how impressed we were with the focus on visibility in that truck, because a lot of modern vehicles are a little hard to see out of, especially when you're on a trail. The hoods are very big, which makes it look cool from the outside. But from where I sit, it is a little difficult to see what's immediately in front of me because of this big hood bulge that we have here. And especially when you're off-road, that is a little bit of a downside. That being said, once this screen actually fires up, we should be able to see that we have camera views in this truck. Also, a ton of really nice features in heated and ventilated seats. This is a top model, top trim truck, so you would expect all that. We do have 2 high, 4 high, and 4 low. Now, this is where I want to start mentioning the Ranger Raptor, because one nice feature on the Ranger Raptor is you do have a 4 auto mode. Another nice thing on the Ranger Raptor is you have both front and rear lockers. So this truck, you do have a disconnecting sway bar, also really nice to have, but only a rear locker on this particular truck.
Yeah, great point. So that is actually a pretty unique feature in this class. Vehicles like the Jeep Gladiator also have a stability bar disconnect that allows a lot more front end articulation, allows those tires to stay in contact with the earth when you're off road, but no front locker, which is now becoming kind of a class standard, not only in the Jeep, but also in the GM twins.
Yeah, exactly, and it's a good thing to have. Like, the traction control system in this truck is very capable. You're still going to be doing very aggressive rock crawling in this truck if you decide to, but still the front locker, we're partial to it. It's a nice feature to have. It's also worth mentioning powertrain wise on the Ranger Raptor. It's a really good powertrain. It is a twin turbo V6. It's not a hybrid system like this truck, but if you prefer a V6 over a 4-cylinder, then that is one nice, potentially nice element there on the Ranger Raptor. And you've also got more horsepower on the Ranger Raptor, about 405 if I remember right.
Yeah, it's right around 400. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we look at Case, some other TRD unique components in this vehicle, first of all, TRD branding on the shifter for that 8-speed automatic. Ford's a 10-speed automatic, good point as well. And then TRD on the steering wheel with the little centering, so if you do want to do some high-speed running, you're going to know where the center of the wheel is and how much you're turning it. And then this screen case, monster screen in this truck. Look at the size of that.
Absolutely huge. It's almost comically large. I mean, look at the size of the font and all the different buttons along the side. It's massive.
Yeah, it does take up the vast majority of your dashboard. So if you're not a big fan of these large screens that take up like a good portion, this is maybe not the truck for you, but if you do want to interact with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, what have you, this is a great way to do it. Pretty snappy, pretty crisp, pretty clear. Now, some additional features we should talk about, Case. We do have a tow haul mode here with an integrated brake controller. Really nice feature. And then we do have drive mode selection with this little spin knob, so you can kind of see normal, eco, and sport, along with multi-terrain selects. We can go in a low range if you wanted to. Here, you want to put foot on brake, we'll go neutral. Let's go ahead and stick it in low. Yep, and then we're going to go into the multi-terrain select.
Yeah, and as far as modes go, the Ford is also going to give you more different modes for different types of terrain.
This is one thing which I do struggle with consistently with Tacomas, and that's the actual low range activation. Here, you want to scoot it forward like a few feet. See if we can get it into the high range.
Motor kick on, back into neutral.
Let's try reversing here.
Yeah.
There we go, there's high.
Okay, so
once we're in high, we should be able to go into low. There we go, low range, and then I'm going to go into multi-terrain select, and now you can see we have auto
mud
sand,
and rock modes.
mud and rock. And then also, check this out, if I go into crawl control here, we're going to go into drive, we have different basically off-road cruise control settings from low to high, and that allows the vehicle to maintain a set speed, use a traction control to get you over difficult obstacles.
Yeah, so all some really cool technology. We've also got these auxiliary switches here on the left side, plus you can see my button down here for that light bar up front. So a couple cool additional pieces that you've got. And overall, it is just a sharp interior in black and red. It looks special. It makes the inside of this truck feel very special. So this doesn't just feel like a standard Tacoma from the inside. You really get the feeling that you did get the nicer off-road model. Should we show the back seat?
Yeah, so this is going to start talking about something really unique in this trim. So the front seats in the TRD Pro are these isodynamic performance seats. And first of all, they're a lot larger and they're a lot more bolstered than the seats that we would have found in our TRD off-road version of the Tacoma. They're pretty comfortable to sit in, but the real changes are actually going to be toward the rear of the seat, right, Case?
Yeah, so when you go around to the back of the seat, you can see some of what's going on here. So there's basically these shocks inside of the seat that you can adjust depending on your weight. So the truck comes with a little pump, and you look at a guide that they give you for how much air you should pump into these shocks depending on your weight. There's also a road and an off-road mode, so these little dials on the bottom that you can switch over. The disadvantage is that it does make this seat overall very thick. So any version of the Tacoma is fairly limited on rear seat legroom. This one especially so. So if you plan on carrying around passengers in the rear seats often, this might be a factor for consideration, whether you're shopping maybe for the Trail Hunter version of this truck, or if you're looking at a Ranger or Raptor. I think either one of those trucks, you're gonna have a little bit more comfort in the rear seat as far as space. I do have also 2400 watts right here in the back that I can tap into, which is nice. 2 USB-Cs, but I really wish that I had vents in the back of this truck. Another comfort item that would be nice.
So Case, I'm gonna give you this camera really quick, and I wanna show how these seats work. It's pretty interesting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slide the seat forward so you get a better visual of how this works. And then I'm going to grab the included air pump. So included with your TRD Pro Tacoma is this little pouch. And if I pull this open, you're gonna find an air pump, because these are like an air over oil shock absorber, 2 of them built in the seat, and you have both vertical and horizontal movement. Now the first thing you can see here is we've got a couple of different positions. So we've got the road position, which is basically gonna lock the seat down, and then we're gonna put it into the off-road position. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these little caps, and these are just basically standard Schrader valves that you'd find like on a tire. You can see there's 2 of them, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this included air pump and I'm just going to screw it on here and set the pressure based on what the owner manual suggests. So I'm going to get this activated here. There's actually a little included screen here as well. So I'm going to, there we go, I'm going to let the air out of this shock here with this little button, and you can see how little it takes to actually get this pumped up. So based on my weight, 192 pounds. Case, I believe the owner's manual said 20 PSI on this side-to-side adjustment, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it 1 pump, that's 5 PSI, 2 pump, 10.5, 3 pumps, it's gonna be 14, 4 pumps, 19, then we're just gonna get it right up to 20, 19.5, 20.
Nice.
Perfect. So we're nice and dialed in there.
20.5 is going to be too stiff, Tommy.
I think it's going to be fine. And then we can do the same thing over here on that vertical adjustment, which I already did off camera.
Yeah.
And then Case, I'm going to hop into the seat and actually show
some of the movement.
Some of the movement, yeah. You might actually see those shocks kind of move around a little. You see that, Case?
A little bit.
It's intended to kind of take some of the harshness away from high speed and low speed off-roading. On-road, you're really not going to see a benefit. So first impression is with this TRD exhaust, there's a little bit more of a growl than what we heard on our non-hybrid Tacoma, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. It definitely makes a bit more noise, and a lot of the noise that you hear from the inside, to me, sounds kind of augmented. So I'm not sure that all of what we're hearing is actually coming from that TRD branded exhaust, but it does. It's got a little bit of a growl to it for sure.
Yeah, sounds okay.
Of course, off-road, we've gotten to test this truck out a little bit. They didn't have the guys on anything too extreme, so it'll still be good to get this truck out to Moab, do some more serious trails with it. But judging by everything about it that we've seen so far, this is going to be a really good off-road truck.
So, Case, we've determined that the TRD Pro is a comfortable, pretty refined place to spend time on the road. How does it compare to the Ranger Raptor or the Colorado ZR2 or the Canyon or the Gladiator? What do you think?
The Raptor feels the most high performance, especially to hustle around in the dirt.
I don't know what this truck is like off-road because I haven't spent any time with this truck off-road. On-road, I think it's right up there at the top. I think it's a lot more refined than the Gladiator, and the seats are far more comfortable. I'm not convinced about the isodynamics of the seats, but I will say if you just look at them as a normal seat, this is probably the best seat in class. It feels really good. It's got a lot of bolstering, and it's got a lot of great controls. I also have lumbar on the passenger side, which is not always something you can get in the midsize truck category. So I think it's a pretty darn good seat. Oh, Case is chirping the rears.
That was like 10% throttle.
Sheesh! The engine and powertrain is interesting in this truck. It's got quite a bit of torque right off the line because the hybrid system does provide that instantaneous torque. And then the mid-range and the upper end feels a little similar to the other non-hybridized Tacomas, right? Once you get on boost, I think you get a little bit more push out of the hybrid system. It doesn't feel dramatically different. You do get a lot more sound, be it augmented or through the exhaust. It does give you a little bit more of an experience. And the ride quality, I think, is also really good. I'm not sure it's quite as refined as the Ranger Raptor. I think this got a little bit better rebound control, but compared to, I think, both the Gladiator and also the Colorado, I found the Colorado to be just a little stiff. I think this is in a pretty good spot. And then the tech in this truck, I think probably some of the best tech in class, like between the big screen, some of the app functionality that Toyota offers as well. You do get a lot of kind of built-in convenience features in this model. Now, what it comes down to, though, Case, is really going to be price for a lot of folks.
Yeah, so and that's one of the tough things, because a lot of these trucks are not necessarily going to be selling through dealerships at sticker price, but MSRP starting on the Raptor is around 55, whereas this is starting around 64. And then did that give you a specific price for how this one is spec'd?
Yeah, we're over 67 grand.
Yeah, and there's not tons of options that you can add on to this truck because it's already pretty maxed out with features.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not inexpensive.
Turn on some fan, it's like a 85 here in
It's humid.
Dallas with that humidity. Look, I don't think anyone's gonna call this an affordable truck.
No.
And even compared to like the Ranger Raptor, which you can theoretically obtain for the high 50s, it's an expensive truck, and that's before any kind of additional dealer markups, keep in mind. So this is not a budget-friendly truck. But what I do appreciate about this generation of Tacoma TRD Pro that I didn't necessarily expect is how different the experience is compared to like a TRD Off-Road, a TRD Sport, an SR5, Limited.
I think Tommy and I are both pretty excited, chomping at the bit to get some time with this truck off-road as well, especially if we can get it back in the Rocky Mountains where we live, do some of the trails that we know, and actually push this thing a little bit harder than the guys were able to on the event for this truck.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd like to really get this thing out on some rocks. But I have to say I'm pretty impressed. I think it's a big step up from the previous TRD Pro. I am still not convinced of the actual isodynamic seat and what that offers in an off-road environment. But from the standpoint of feeling special, this truck feels special. You know, before it kind of felt like an elevated standard TRD model. Now this feels more Raptor-like. They've really integrated a lot of interesting new design elements and new features that I think have elevated this truck into a more special territory.
Absolutely.
But folks, let us know what you think in the comment section. I'm not thinking we're going to be able to get a 0 to 60 test today because it is so wet out there. It's just not going to be fair to the truck. So we're going to get this thing back to our airstrip in Colorado and get some real numbers. But as always, it's been Tommy.
And Case.
We'll see you next time. Head over to alltfl.com for more real world reviews on the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro.